Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to do something extremely different because we're going back to Warhammer 2. I know that sounds really odd, doesn't it? But a massive mod recently released in alpha called Total Rebirth. And what this mod has done is basically convert Warhammer 2 to be more similar to that of Shogun 2 and Attila. And I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty damn good. So this video isn't like a full-on review, it's more like a first impressions. But I feel like we need to talk about this because it changes up quite a lot of stuff in-game. And we're gonna be talking about as much as I possibly can. Total Rebirth has 3 mods, so it's the alpha, the models pack because it adds in some stuff, and then a map pack too because it does add in a lot of maps too, just to kind of flesh out the game a little bit more. And it works with all the factions, but I think the human ones are the ones that had the most work. More specifically the Empire and the Southern Realms. They have their own interpretation for the Southern Realms. So we're going to jump in with a few different things. Like, for example, the Empire has access to a few new units and also a few heroes. Malachite McKayson's been added in. They've added in the Knights Panther, the Knights of the White Wolf, Road Wardens too, for those of you who are big fans of the old world, and a bunch of things all around. The idea here is new stylings that you can recruit into your campaign that have many uses, and they're going to be recruited for different areas. Don't you worry, you're going to be checking that now. God, it takes me back though. I kind of miss the Warhammer 2 UI. I really do. So it's just taking me back just looking at this. But like the units look how they should. Like the Knights Panther look like Knights Panther. You got Oslan Blackguard too, which is a nice little throwback to some Warhammer Fantasy RPG stuff. These units have changed, as you can tell, stat-wise. A lot of things have changed because melee attack is different. Resolve, that's more for leadership. Armor is much lower, but it does depend. A bunch of units do have access to formations too. It does depend on the units that have had that. I've mostly played around with the Empire, I'm not going to lie. But I wanted to take a gander through this because there is so much, and it's not just that, right? There are units being added in through other forms. But before we get into that, yes, there is a bunch of like formations. So units will have formation abilities very similar to that of Shogun 2 and also that of Attila, to able to make them more useful in the battlefield. I really like this. I really do. It's something that's been missing. What you would have noticed also is that the modder has decided to add in like almost the full command for these units. You'll notice them in pretty much all your armies. So you've got like a unit champion and also a banner bearer. There's no musician, but I don't think there's like functionality for musicians in Total War, which kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. It's like a full command is such a tabletop-centric thing. I think a lot of people do miss it, myself included. I was hoping Warhammer 3 would do that, but yeah, no. Mind you, there are more important things to sort out in Warhammer 3, but it's something that I think a lot of people did want. Yeah, formations are going to allow you to have more uses for your units, obviously alongside all the new stuff that you can play around with. It's just nice to have a little bit more there, you know, active effects kind of being complemented by your other stuff too. Alongside that, there is an interpretation of the Southern Realms factions that you can play. So this is going to give you a bunch of units inspired by the Dogs of War book from like, what, 5th edition? Yeah, god damn it, man. It's always so weird when you have to go back to an army book that hasn't been in rotation for a long time because Games Workshop decided nobody was going to play that army, which was actually the fault of Games Workshop for not updating anything, but hey, here you go, right? So you can get the units that you're kind of expecting here. You've got some light cannons, you've got some Pervase crossbowmen, you do also have pikemen, which are available to the Empire, all of it, which is really cool. I've not been able to have a full campaign with them just yet, and it's mostly because I've been kind of like looking through the Empire, just seeing what the main changes were there. This is the problem. Even though this mod is in a alpha, it's absolutely huge. Like, I wasn't expecting to be as massive as it is, and it's getting tons and tons of updates. I know some people were saying, well, why this and not in Warhammer 3, but a lot of people don't realize that this mod had started work before the release of Warhammer 3, I believe, and there is just so much that goes into it. So I like this. I think it works out quite well, especially since Warhammer 2 is still pretty damn solid. And I've just had to look through the notes on the official Steam page. So right now it's just the Empire that's got its full revamp. Everyone else is still going into a pending thing. But yeah, that takes time, right? This is a very, very large game. And this is a very, very large mod. This is going to be changing around a lot of things. A lot of things. So let's jump into campaign now because we do need to talk about so much stuff, actually. It's absolutely wild. Right, the biggest change is for campaign. So obviously the Empire is huge, and now it feels even bigger because one, your armies are going to have much less movement range, so your armies are not going to be able to settlement hop, but also your settlements are going to be independent, so each of them are their own kind of like provinces. You're going to notice a lot more buildings because so much has been added in. This is more similar to that of Shogun 2, obviously a little bit of Attila there also, because they both worked in a very similar system, but just different execution. There's so much to this. This also does mean that you're going to have less access to units very early on, and they're going to be split up a lot more alongside needing just more infrastructure and getting better infrastructure at that too. It is absolutely wild on how this system works, and it looks absolutely great. Kind of wish that this was a thing for vanilla, I'm not gonna lie. But it wouldn't work because then that means that all the special stuff like palaces and, you know, the Nurgle cyclical stuff wouldn't be possible, which is a massive shame because I think it looks really good. You do have basically your commandments for every province at this point. I'm not sure if that's going to get removed, but this does mean that building is going to be very, very different to what you're normally used to. It's so weird not being able to settlement hop also, but I think it adds a lot more depth. I think that's a massive problem with Warhammer in general, where you're just jumping from settlement to settlement because the map is way too congested. So like this, it actually feels like the map is larger, even though the map has not changed whatsoever. This is still the bog standard Mortal Empires map, but the depth there is quite large. It does mean that as Karl Franz, you're going to be attacked by two armies at once, though, so you have to be kind of prepared for that. But, I mean, what's wrong with that, right? Recruitment's going to be different too, because it's going to work around the pool system. So you're going to see that you have access to a certain amount of units that you can recruit. There's also mercenaries too, because the mercenary system has been added in. So you can get that. You still got access to your regiments of renown. The mercenary system I like. It's basically, you know, every turn or so there's a chance of it replenishing. I think that's how it works at least, but it basically means that you can pick up an army very quickly if you need it. They are going to be very expensive though, so you have to keep that in mind. It's a very big change, but I think it's a kind of cool change. And more changes are coming into effect. Like, for example, you do have access to skill lines once again, but it's different to what we're normally used to. It's not the red, blue, and yellow. It's divided, and basically with Karl Franz, it's just like a lot of changes to kind of work very similar to that of, I'm assuming, Attila, actually. More so to Attila, where you've got certain areas to kind of build up from, and it's free lines. You can kind of mix and match, I think, but you're going to get most benefits from going down one line, kind of specializing a lord in one way and then going through the other line. There's not like a lot of points, so it just depends on where you want to go there. Again, really, really interesting, and I think it just shows how much Total War has changed. The same thing can be shown with the tech tree, which just has loads of access to buildings. You just still get some buffs in certain areas, but it's mostly unlocking buildings, again, like Attila does. I've been playing a lot of Dauntless Days, as you can tell, right? It's very, very interesting in that regard, because it is definitely a totally new way to play Warhammer, more historical. And I feel like if something like this was done, more of the historical purists might have liked it a little bit more. Mind you, like, there are some things that I don't like about it, like, for example, characters having their own bodyguard regiments. I know some people very much like that, so, like, yeah, you know, it's up to the respective player. There's new maps slowly but surely being added in, which is the purpose of bringing in changes, basically siege battles, and also that for minor battles too. So it's nothing too massive. Keep in mind this mod is in alpha, and you will encounter some bugs every now and then too, which is important to talk about. But other than that, like, it feels pretty solid, and the maps look pretty good. It doesn't solve the problems with like a lot of AI stuff, but it definitely does make things kind of cool. Very fresh, which I think is quite important. So for this purpose, we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about a minor settlement battle and a major settlement battle alongside a few other things, and a land battle too, actually, I think is quite important because things have changed quite a lot. Like minor settlements, you can see there is like a small amount, but it's styled in the style of a minor battle. You're attacking a settlement. The settlement itself has some like basic defenses. It's got some entryways, kind of similar again to Shogun 2 style settlements, I think. Well, actually, very similar to, I think there's a format of this in Attila, actually, which is pretty damn good, and I think it works out quite well. The battles are going to be a lot quicker, and I'll have a normal battle to showcase that in a second. But really, it's just focused around, you know, surround the enemy, hit them harder. The good thing about this is that the enemy do take more damage, and so will you. Units will die as they are. One of the problems with Warhammer, I think, and a lot of Total War, is it relies a lot on hit points rather than just kind of logical deaths. So you get some charges in. Sometimes some units will take like no damage whatsoever, or retreating units just basically being almost invulnerable because units don't know how to connect. This kind of changes here, which is really, really interesting. I've got units kind of dying really quickly. It's cool. I like the minor settlement feature here, which is just basically the fort in a sense. It's got that fort feature, I think is probably the way of saying it. It's not a fort, but you know what I mean. Like the houses act as defenses. So this is kind of the upgraded version as a major settlement. There's a lot more towers, basically meaning that you've got a lot more defenses. The towers will do a bit more damage from what I've been able to see. They can actually take out some units if they get there and they're active. The enemies don't have access to ass ladders, so the reliance is focused very, very heavily on battering rams and also with your siege towers, which can be destroyed, but do seem relatively, I'd say, durable. Like, not amazing, and I've been able to take out one or two, but it basically means that the AI has to plan out a little bit. It does seem like there might be a bit of AI logic because they're attacking from multiple sides, which is always nice. It does mean that you have to split up your forces or maybe just focus on one area and then kind of go around. But it does have that more Attila-based logic when it comes to fighting, which I really do appreciate. I think it's really, really important. I'm just speeding up the gameplay for it a little bit because it is like an 8-minute clip. Basically, it ended up with most sides being totally destroyed and they had to attack from other sides, so units had to go to the areas there. It's great when you don't have the ass ladders just causing a problem with. Obviously, we know that Creative Assembly are going to be doing something similar like that with the siege ladders for Warhammer 3. It doesn't solve all the problems, but it definitely does help. Heroes right now are single entities from what I've seen, but some of them aren't. It does very much depend. The warrior priest being by himself, but I think it worked out quite well, even though he was mounted, so he couldn't really do much, barring using his auras just to kind of boost up the troop capabilities. I really do like this. I think that it does solve a lot of issues with sieges. Just the 360 stuff helps. I think a lot of people want that. But even with the normal sieges that I've been able to work, you remember the old Warhammer 2 sieges, which were basically just wall. The standard battles is probably the best way to showcase this, because here at the start I've got 2 enemy armies coming in. This is literally just turn 2, so with my starting army and 2 Empire Secessionists coming in, it's going to be tough. The reinforcements are coming in instantly, basically the same format as how it went for Attila last time I played. Karl Franz has a bodyguard. It's weird seeing legendary lords with bodyguards, but I guess it also kind of makes sense since everyone has like a bit of a captain and stuff. And yeah, god damn it. The combat was good. The combat felt really, really good. I don't think I can say any way better than that. You know, just general units kind of fighting, the way that units kind of push in. I felt like the units were pushing in a lot better. There was a bit better responsive time rather than them just getting kind of bogged in. You can see them trying to push into combat. I think that it's going to be showcasing on screen right now, where if there is a point that they can push, they will try and push. If there isn't, they won't be able to. But it did feel a little bit better. I don't know what was done there, but it just feels like combat feels really, really solid. Flank and rear charges feel a lot better, especially if you're using cavalry, which does have a lot more punch to it. The charges actually will do pretty strong damage just from hitting, rather than like how it goes in Warhammer 3 and sometimes in like 3 Kingdoms and stuff, where it's just slap and nothing. I think by far the thing that I liked the most about these battles was the fact that retreating units will take more damage, which means that they will die out a lot quicker. You can basically wipe out 4 units, which is something that we know from all the Total War games, but interesting enough, obviously it is part of like actual Warhammer. Well, prior to like what's happening with the old world right now, because obviously combat has radically changed, but you can still run over and destroy complete units. This is so important because there were so many cases of units just getting away, regenerating up to full strength, and some newer players wouldn't know how to deal with it. Also, again, if you chase after a unit, you wouldn't really kill them or do any damage to them because connecting points, contact points and stuff when it came to animations wouldn't work out too well. This honestly feels incredible. Maybe because I'm playing a lot more Attila recently, but it just feels really damn good. Honestly, if you want something completely different, and if you're feeling like playing Warhammer, but you want something to tide you over until Bashiva and the Tiger Men, obviously we know that something's going to happen for them at some point, we just don't know exactly when. So I highly recommend trying out this mod, which can be found in the description below if you want to use it. Of course, remember that you'll have to re-download Warhammer 2. Some people still have it because it's still got some quality of life stuff that isn't in Warhammer 3 just yet. And yeah, I mean, it's nostalgia, right? Who doesn't want to go back and play a little nostalgia every now and then? I do that with certain games. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have a great day, guys. I'll let the rest of the battle play out, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye.
Ready! Fight, men! Fight for our right to live!
Moving now! No lingering! Ah!
Halberdiers! Handgunners! Glory to the Empire! No lingering!
Your troops come under fire, Commander. Have them find cover or eliminate the source.
By Ulrich's wrath! Yes, my lord! Yes, sir! Quickly! At speed! By Ulrich's wrath! Reichsguard Knights! My subjects call! Halberdiers! Quickly! Moving now! To battle! Spearmen!
See to it! For Heldenhammer!
Take the ground! No lingering! Go! For the comet, ready! No lingering! Formation march!
The enemy commander runs from the field, my lord.
Reichsguard Knights! War! Sigma! Ulrich's teeth! Retreat!